Alright guys, this is The Genius, and today I want to talk a little bit about pickup lines, and this is Lean Keto Times with Genius Weatherman, and I got my recipe here. I'm going to be starting my fast pretty soon, but when I do fast, I'm just going to have these two drinks, which is my Spider Bite Venom recipes, and this is hot cocoa, obviously, with no sugar, but just got a little stevia, some whipped cream, and cinnamon and vanilla. And then this is my Spider Bite Venom drink. When I do fast, I do add a little salt, a little potassium, but right now I just have a little lemon juice and carbonated water and a little apple cider vinegar. And then of course, got my this is a fork. This is my hamburger patty, pasture-raised eggs, and then of course I got my avocado and a little tomatoes, diced tomatoes, and Kalamata olives, a little mustard. So, anyways, talk about pickup lines. I'm a very strong advocate against pickup lines. However, I am writing a book about how to come up with your own pickup lines that actually work. And I know that sounds kind of ironic to say that, but the reason why all pickup lines, no matter if they're good or bad, don't work is because most guys that try to use them are stuck in fear. So if you're afraid to approach a girl, but then you try to use some pickup line to hide that fear, it's generally not going to work. And that's why the pickup community's got a real bad reputation for using cheesy pickup lines and stuff like that. Because you can have a cheesy pickup line and make it work if you're not in fear. Which is why, I do advocate that once you work with fear and learn how to overcome approach anxiety, well, you can actually come up with pickup lines of your own that are actually pretty effective. And one of the things I like to do is use analogies, and of course my favorite sport is basketball. And I wrote an article about pickup lines and using the basketball analogy called the turnaround jump shot. And basically what you want to do is, if you're playing basketball, you look at these guys, like the greatest basketball player of all time, Michael Jordan. He's probably, undoubtedly has probably the best turnaround jump shot in the history of basketball. And basically the way it works is you fake like you're going to take a shot in one direction by dribbling the ball in one direction, and then you turn around in the opposite direction and then jump and shoot your shot. And Michael Jordan, what he would do better than anyone else would be he would fade back and take the jump shot. So even if his opponent was anticipating he was going to break the shot, still almost impossible to block it because Michael Jordan would fade back and shoot a jump shot. So in pickup, and the reason why I use this analogy, because in pickup, you want to use, certain pickup lines that first start off indirect. I'm a big fan of direct game, but I know you cannot, from experience, I know you cannot go too direct too soon. So that means you have to use lines, which for me is just asking questions. Use lines or ask questions about the weather, stuff like, are you from New York or are you from California or something like that? Like your first question is a closed leading question, yes or no. And then after that you answer, that's a compliance test. And then you ask an open-ended question like, oh really, so what's the weather like there? And then you can go direct with what I call turnaround jump shot question, or turnaround jump shot pickup line. And basically, you want to, the initial questions or the topic about the weather was your dribbling, was your, faking your game to be indirect with like dribbling the ball in one direction. And then you're going to transition the conversation over to sex. By turning around doing a jump shot question. Now the turnaround, I would say the turnaround will be something like first giving the girl a flattering compliment. And then you wait for her reaction. If she likes the compliment, she takes it well. She smiles or whatever. And by the way, you should always be applying the 4 fundamentals of the game that I talk about a lot, which is the eye contact, the laid back body language, obviously making sure you're close to the girl. But assuming you're doing all that, if the girl likes the compliment you give her, after you pause and wait for her reaction, and then now you can ask a closed-ended leading question about sex. So you can say something like, have you ever went on with a guy on a first date or something like that? You say it in a playful way. And again, applying those 4 fundamentals. She's probably more likely going to blush. And which indicates that she likes the question, but also too that she might have actually done something like that. But more importantly, if she answers, regardless if it's yes or no, it's going to prove to you that girls love talking about sex. And that's what you want to talk about, You're not there to talk about the weather. Even though you faked it like you like he was. But you're there to find out what about the girl sexually. What's her sexual history like? What is she into? What's her rules for going home with the guy? Stuff like that. And all the time that you're doing this, she's gonna be thinking about whatever you're talking about, doing it with you. So, which is what you want. It's a part of seduction. Seduction is getting the girl to think like you do. It's not to get the girl to think about whether or not you're high value or, some kind of alpha male nonsense. She doesn't really care about that. Contrary to what a lot of PUAs and top dating coaches tell you. Truth is, the girl doesn't, even if she did, that's got nothing to do with whether or not she'll go home with you. Maybe it might have something to do with whether or not she wants to be in a long-term relationship with you. But when it comes to pickup, your looks, money, status, and whether or not you're high value and all that silly nonsense doesn't really mean anything. So, that being said, use pickup lines that can turn the conversation around from being about the weather over to sex. Very simple. And the way you switch topics from the weather over to sex is first give her a compliment and then ask her a question about sex. Not hard at all. Now, you don't want to talk about sex for too long. As a matter of fact, after you talk about it for maybe a couple of minutes or so, you can go back to talking about the weather. Now, she knows that you have the balls to go for what you want, even though you're a nice guy. And you have no problem talking about sex. Then you can bounce back and forth between that subject or use physical game. I'm not physically touching a girl for some reason. Or even if I am, but I'm not escalating beyond, let's say I'm just holding her or something like that. And then I like to talk about sex. And then the girl becomes sexually aroused, which, as you know, my ACC method is all about arousal, compliance, close. And then when it comes time for leading the girl around the club or taking her home, she's more likely going to comply. It's really a straightforward method. It's not rocket science. A lot of guys like to go in and do all this fighting and comfort building and all this nonsense. You can do that if you want, but first of all, it's not necessary. And two, get the conversation switched over, turn around over to sex as soon as possible and get that out the way. And then go back to vibing or something like that. I mean, you get stuck in vibing or comfort building or whatever you want to call it, and you haven't talked about sex yet, conversation's not gonna go anywhere. And that's because the longer you wait to do anything, the longer you resist doing something that you know you're supposed to do, the more you're going to be afraid to do it. It's like the old saying goes, the longer you resist, the more it persists. So here you are, you're doing all this vibing, and the girl is like, okay, what does this guy really want? I know what he wants, but he seems too scared to ask me. So I'm gonna excuse myself. Or if another guy comes along that's better, that's not afraid, she's gonna go with him. Something like that. Girls, when they go out, they got a million things that they're trying to do. And if you're, good enough to distract them for a little bit, get them to focus on what you want, then they'll forget about all the rest of the stuff that they were trying to do and do what you want to do. But you can't do that. Then they're gonna go back to their agenda. And when that happens, it's gonna be nice to meet you. Here's my phone number, bye-bye. And you'll never hear from that girl again. Here's my Instagram. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Facebook. That's it. So, I suggest you read my article about Pickup Lines 101. It's entitled Pickup Lines 101, Turnaround Jumper Shot. And see if that might work for you. Like any pickup line, it's not going to work unless you're working with fear and you've already gotten over approach anxiety, stuff like that. But give it a shot. And, remember, basketball players like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, or LeBron James, that are really good with their turnaround jump shots, they practice those shots for hours. When you see them at the games, that's showtime. That's you're looking at hours and hours of preparation behind closed doors of them practicing that turnaround jump shot. So don't be afraid to try the turnaround jump shot pickup line and have it not work for you and not keep practicing it. More than likely, if it's failing, it's because you still got some fear around that, because fear comes in all levels. It also comes in not just off the approach, but also knowing that, hey, okay, this is the time I should be turning the conversation. I should be giving her a compliment, and then switch the conversation over to sex, and then you're afraid to do it. So anyways, it's been Lean Keto Times with Genius Weatherman. Appreciate you tuning in. And until next time, keep taking action.